What up, Caleb?
What's up?
What kind of cut you want to do today, bro?
I'm gonna change it up this time. I'm gonna do a high taper.
Okay.
Like, towards like the front, like over here.
Did you want to blend, you know the part that kind of hooks right here?
Yeah.
You want to blend that out?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in the back, I'm gonna do like a mid taper.
That's different for you, bro.
Yeah.
You've been getting the fades ever since I started cutting you.
I know.
And then where, you gonna keep the top?
Yeah, I'm gonna grow it out.
Okay. Let's do it.
Let's go.
To get right into this cut, we're going to use our trimmer to establish our bald line. And you want to create this line right at the bottom of the ear. And as a reference point, you can use the earlobe for where to end off with your trimmer. And we're just trying to get this line as clean as possible, so that way we have a nice foundation to fade off of. And now we're going to use that trimmer to bald the bottom of this out as well, making sure that I get all those little hairs that you can kind of feel, you know, when you touch the back of your neck. And yes, my trimmers are 0 gapped, and now I'm going to follow it up with my shaver just to get it a little closer to the skin and really make that taper bald so it can pop when the blend is completely finished. And you'll see I'm stopping with the shaver a little below the top of that bald line. I don't want to take it all the way up because then it'll just create another line for myself. Now we're going to come in with our lever all the way open on our clipper. And when we create this line, we're going to go up about a good distance here. I would say about a finger's width. And really all that means is if you grab your pointer finger and put it right where the guideline is, that's the width you kind of want to make this line. And I know you see the cover on my Rebel. Shout out to Stylecraft for collabing with Mr. Cartoon on these. I think it's super dope. It came with 3 different covers for the clippers. There was a red and a blue one, including this one. So if you want to buy yours, head over to stylecraft.com and use code DrakeClipperHands at checkout, and I got you. And now to get rid of the line in the middle, I'm going to come in with my clipper closed. And then as we move up that lever there on the side, I'll open it little by little. So I usually start off bald, then I'll go a quarter of the way, then I'll go halfway, and then I'll go all the way. And if it doesn't fully get rid of it, I'll go back in detail with my lever. And you can see it start to blend out. And now we're going to move on to our one guard with the lever open. And just like I said, we're going to go up about a good distance here. And I would say this is about a finger's width. And we're just going straight across. We're not, some people make their tapers like really rounded. For neck tapers, I like to, just go straight across. Give it that nice clean look. And the reason you don't have to exaggerate that round shape is because the nape area kind of already has that shape. So when you exaggerate it, in my opinion, it just kind of looks a little funny. I know the goal of it is to kind of keep the lining on the nape a little darker, but naturally those kind of stay darker than the middle of the taper, if you know what I mean. Now after we did that open, I closed that one guard, and this is just to lighten up that line in the middle. And now we're gonna move up. So like I said in the consultation, this client usually gets a fade. So as you can see, it's been about 2 weeks since he got a fade, so I would say it's about a 1.5 on the side. So now this 1.5 is basically going to kind of blend into it. And now we're going to start moving down with that 1.5, closing it all the way. So after working with that 1.5, we're going to move on to our half guard, and we'll start off with that lever all the way open. As you can see, I'm going to work with it right here. This should pretty much blend into that one open that we had originally kind of created that guideline above it with. So you'll see I'm using that flick out and scoop motion, and I'm also using a lot of the corner of the blade here as well. Now I went ahead and closed it. I believe that's all the way. And this should pretty much start getting rid of that fully, except for some minor details that we'll go back and touch up. So as you can see, this taper is coming together very nicely. And that taper is coming together super nice. But as you can see, we're still working at it because we're trying to get it as clean as we can possibly get it to really set ourselves apart from any other barbers. And now I'll take that half guard off and I'll just come in with that lever open, really using the corner of the blade to detail. And then after we do that, since the sides are so short, I'm just gonna go ahead and line up around his ear and that nape area. So I'm starting at the top of the ear just so I don't chance taking this area up too high. And then I'll go to the bottom and meet those 2 points in the middle. And that should give us a nice nape lineup. But as you can see, this taper really comes together after we do that. And now we'll get into the side. So with this client, ever since I've been cutting him since he was about like 8 years old, he's always got his arches lined up with the low fade. So this is the first time I'm giving him kind of a high taper where we blend those out. So we're gonna see how this comes out. Now we're coming out with our shaver just to get it really close to the skin, you know, and make this haircut last a little longer, you know what I mean? And you'll notice since this client, you know, arch area is very pronounced and his forehead is smaller, it really doesn't give us a lot of room to work with when doing this high taper. So I'm trying to keep, you know, my guidelines a little more condensed so that way I can keep the top of the taper pretty dark. So I did lever all the way open and now I'm coming in closed and I open it up little by little. Now we're gonna move on to our one guard open and we're gonna do that same thing. And this side of the taper gave me a little more challenge than his left side did. And what I wish I would have done before I started this taper was debulk it with a tube first and then set in my guidelines, so it would have just been a little cleaner, you know, of guidelines. But we're gonna make it happen. So I'm working with that one guard still. And now I'm gonna come in with my 2 guard, which is what I meant when I said I should have came in with this guard first, just to clear this area and make it all the same length. So I started off open and now I'll close it and we're just gonna start blending down here. And you can see every time we go up with this clipper, his hair likes to lift up and stay there. So I'm making sure to brush or comb this down. And now we're gonna drop down to that 1.5, and like always we're gonna start off open and then work our way closed. And the reason we do that is just to be safe, right? Because if I come in closed originally and it takes off too much, it's kind of over with. I can't put the hair back on. But if I start off open and I need to take off more, I can always close that lever or drop down to a smaller guard. So as you can see, this has pretty much got us through our steps here, and there's a lot of detail work that we're gonna need to go ahead and do. That's why I said this side gave me a little more challenge than I wanted. But we're gonna come in with our half guard here to kind of detail any of those dark areas that we see, and I have my lever closed. And we're utilizing the corner of the blade because when you use the corner of the blade, you can use, you know, really no guard, half guard, one guard, and you can take those guards all the way up to the area that you used it to because you're using the corner. So it's kind of cutting in between the hairs instead of taking, you know, all of it off. So that's the benefit of using the corners. And now we're going to do some clipper over comb to blend into the weight there on the sides. So I'm coming in with that comb and then flaring out slightly. And then we're kind of using the comb as a guard here. And as you can see, after we detailed, this taper really came together and looks super clean. And now we're going to go on to the other side and follow the same exact system. And you'll see how much easier this taper comes out than his right side. Now I'm going to follow up with my shaver. And as you notice, when I'm doing a high taper, I establish my bald lines at the top of the arch and where the ear kind of connects to the head there. And now, just like we did on the other side, since we already have our trimmer, we're just going to go ahead and line up around his ear and the back of the neck. So we're starting at the top, and now we're going to work our way towards the bottom. So we'll establish that line there and meet those 2 points in the middle. And I'm telling you, when you put the line up on a taper, it really takes them to a whole nother level. They start to pop, they start to come together. So that's what we're doing here. And I personally like to put a lot of attention to detail in that area, because I feel like it tapers, you know, is a pretty important part, that transition from the neck into the sides into the front lineup. So I like to, you know, pay a little extra attention to detail. And like I wished I did on the other side, I started off by debalking with that 2 guard, and now we're going to establish our guidelines. So we're going to come in with our lever all the way open here. And again, this is about a finger's width, maybe a pinky's width, not a pointer finger's width, but you know what I mean. Now to get rid of the line in between, I'm going to come in closed, and then we'll open up our lever little by little. Now we grabbed our 1 guard, lever open, because we always establish our guidelines open. And you can already see, man, we're getting to the end of this taper that quickly just by starting off with the debalking first. So I closed that 1 guard all the way, and it kind of got rid of that line fully, but it didn't. So now I'm working with the half guard to really get rid of it. And now we have our 1.5 with that lever all the way open to blend into that 2 that we debalked with. And then we'll close that as needed, just like I did right here. And this pretty much gets us to the step of our taper. And then we'll go back in detail, and I'll show you guys here in a few moments. Now we'll do some clipper over comb, get rid of any weight towards the top of this taper to smooth it out and really clean up that transition. And as you can see, with some minor detailing, we really got this taper together and looking super clean. So now we're gonna get into the lineup, man. And with the lineup, this client in particular does do the part in the front, and that's because eventually he might get braids, so he wants to create that line now. And I'm just using that 1 guard open to kind of taper that down and debalk it, so that way it can catch a nice line as well. So you want to start off in the middle with your trimmer, and whatever side you're more comfortable with, you want to move to that side first. So in this case, we're moving over to his left. So I started in the middle, then I did his vertical bar, and I'm going to bring those 2 points to the corners and really make this thing clean. And you'll see I'm using the corner of that blade to reach that corner. I'm not bringing the entire blade over there because I don't want to push that area back. And that lineup is bringing the taper on the side together as well, as you can see. And when I'm doing a lineup, I like to comb and brush down the hair a lot. And that's because when he goes home and takes a shower and kind of puts his hair in place, I don't want there to be, you know, a lot of overhang on his hairline. I want it to be as clean and as crisp as possible. So now after we do that left side, we're going to move over to his right, doing that same thing. Going towards his vertical bar, and then we'll meet those 2 points in the middle here. We're going to comb it down, and then we'll go ahead and reline it just like we did on the other side. And I always like to use enhancement if the client prefers it as well, to really make the hairline clean and give it that Instagram quality. So I'm coming in with my Barber plug card and my Kiss Express and alcohol mix. And I'm just gonna fill in those light areas of his hair to really make everything look full and sharp and clean. You want to make sure that you don't spray this on super dark though. You kind of want to keep it a little natural looking. So I'm starting with the vertical bar, and then I'm gonna do the front again. And as you can see, it's nothing crazy, nothing over the top. This is just to make it look a little cleaner. And now we're gonna come in with our razor to get rid of any of those little hairs that the trimmer can't quite get down to the skin, to really make this line, you know, super sharp, super clean, with no little flyaways or imperfections. So you want to stretch the skin and then use the razor in the opposite direction of whatever way you're pulling, and this kind of helps prevent any cuts or irritation on the client's skin. This is one of my favorite parts of the haircut, putting those finishing touches on the cut to really make it look, you know, next level. But fam, we took the clips out, let the hair fall on top. We didn't style it, but I think the high taper came out super clean on this client. If this video helped you in any way, shape, or form, make sure you leave a like and a comment. And like always, I will catch y'all next time. Peace.